Good day, everybody, and what is up? Welcome to the podcast for Selfless Sex and She Comes First. I am Dr. Nick. Today is April the 14th, and I hope everyone is trying to maintain because people just lost their fucking minds. If you didn't see the news a few days ago, that gentleman went around that big toilet paper warehouse and filmed himself setting shit on fire. We need a livable wage or some shit like that. But hey, that's what's going on right now in this country. So today I want to talk to you about a topic I just happened to stumble across. And yes, it's a few years old, but I still found it interesting on its presentation. And it's regarding being nagged to death by your partner, your wife specifically. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. So let's talk about being nagged to death by your partner today. So let's set the table for this discussion. This research suggests that constant nagging and high conflict relationships can increase the risk of permanent death, mainly in men. This study found that men facing frequent demands or worries from their partners were more than twice as likely to die. So, Psychology Today, they broke it down a little bit more, and they indicated that unemployed men or those with high stress, demanding relationships are those at highest risk. So the question is, why? According to how this study is presented here, men are more vulnerable to this effect, mainly because they often rely on their partners or their wife as their sole confidant, and less likely to share their concerns and worries with others. Now, to take it a step further, men typically have smaller social networks, meaning that if their partner or their wife is a source of the conflict, they have no one else really to turn to get these issues off their chest, leading to a higher level of stress hormones like cortisol and ultimately other health issues which can lead to death. Next question, so what are these health issues? Well, according to the article and its presentation here, chronic stress caused from arguments and demands from their partner and constant worry can cause cardiovascular issues, high blood pressure, and make their immune system weaker, therefore opening them up to more infections and other types of diseases. So to end this idea on a ray of hope, this article suggests that men should seek out counseling and or therapy and take medications that will help to decrease their levels of stress that are apparently caused by their wife and or girlfriend. And they also suggest that men create a much broader and wider social network. So basically they're saying that guys need to get some more friends and hang out with other family members who have your back, which should help to decrease the amount of stress that they are going through. But I'm going to say this too, when it comes to articles like this with those attention-grabbing headlines, the devil is in the details. So my first question is this. Is it only the nagging wife or the nagging girlfriend that is related to these guys dropping dead? Or could there be other variables at play? So, me being the asshole academic that I am, I went and got the actual journal article, which is published in the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health, volume 68 from 2014. I know, 2014. And it was written by Ricky Lund, Lund. And in his introduction for this study, he actually mentioned something I found pretty interesting. I know it's only one study, but he says this. A previous study suggested that women have higher levels of demand/worries and conflicts with family and children than men, while no gender differences in experience of worries/demands and conflicts with partner were identified. Well, okay, let's see how this plays out. Let's keep going. So for the sake of time, I'm going to skip over all the p-values and f-values and percentages here and jump right to his discussion about the results. And I'm just going to read it to you. Quote, worries and demands were only associated with mortality risk if they were related to partner or children. Simultaneous exposure to high levels of stress from the partner and being outside of the labor force, i.e., unemployed, appear to be associated with an increased mortality risk, which lends some support for the theory of differential vulnerability. Aha. So this is where I think the media picked up on the idea of the nagging wife. At the very end of this study, he says this, quote, in conclusion, stressful social relations are associated with increased mortality risk among middle-aged men and women. Demands and worries from the closest social relations, such as partner and children, were seen more strongly related to mortality than worries and demands from more distant relations. Conflicts across all social roles, from partner to neighbors, were associated with a higher mortality risk. As I said earlier, the devil is in the details. All right, now you get it. So to close out this podcast, let's button this up kind of well. So basically, it's saying that if your neighbors or your wife or your kids are acting up and causing you causing you to be stressed, you have an increased likelihood to experience death. Correct? Okay. So now, especially if you're unemployed or how they like to say it, outside of the labor force. I love academics. You ain't got no job. That's what it means. Okay. So yes, with all that and bills still coming in, and then your wife's asking you about the bills, and your kids are asking you about food, and they got their school stuff they got to do, and got to get school supplies, and there's no money because you can't find a job, and the wife can't find a job, or she has one and she's underemployed, or he could be underemployed as well. He's working, he's not making enough money to make ends meet. So yeah, that can be a very stressful situation. Now, since I like to talk about sex all the time, imagine what their sex life could be like. You think their sex life is happy? I would have to say no, because all those things come together. Well, maybe not, but then if you add everything in there, those new health issues start to appear, like the cardiovascular issues and the blood pressure, which is probably causing him to have erectile dysfunction. That just kind of snowballs into everything else about having stress, and can get the nice satisfaction of having a nice orgasm because you're too stressed out to even get turned on to even think about it because you got so many other things going on. There's a snowball. So, very interesting study. I'm going to say this for the 12th time. The devil is in the details. So, on that note, and my squeaky chair. So on that note, I'm out. You guys have a great day. Stay tuned